Шановні колеги,
Dear colleagues, we continue our work at Ukraine Crisis Media Center. The next topic is report on human rights violations in the occupied Crimea in the first quarter of 2019. Our guests are Eskender, Bariev, head of the board of the Crimean Tatar Resource Center, member of the Mejlis of the Crimean Tatar people, and Elvir Sagirman, communications manager, Crimean Tatar Resource Center. Dear journalists, dear friends, thank you for this interest in our analysis. Traditionally, our center carries out press conference and we analyze the quarter of the year, and we prepare each month the analysis concerning violations of human rights in Crimea, and each 3 months we hold press conference in order to show the dynamics, to sum up the material and to provide more information concerning 3 months. We would like to present our analysis concerning violations of human rights in the occupied Crimea for the first quarter 2019. First, during the first quarter 2019, according to the data provided by the organization, in the first 3 months, 45 searches were recorded, 52 detentions, more than 100 violations for fair trial, 32 violations of the highest attainable level of health, and there were violations in escorting to the territory or to the territory of the Russian Federation, and also there were illegal entering to the ports. The data we collect is based on the data of our activists of Mejlis of Crimean Tatar people and the center. They provide us with information. This information is given by Crimean Solidarity and information provided by other human rights organizations and provided by journalists. And we verify this information, we systematize it, and now we would like to show the analysis of human rights violations in Crimea in the first quarter of 2019. First category are searches. In the first quarter of 2019, overall number 45, out of them in houses of indigenous Crimean people, 36. In January, 3 searches in Razdolna. They searched for illegal literature, and also they verified computers. They found nothing, and they seized nothing. Later, they have searches in Simferopol and Krasnogvardeysk region in the houses of Crimean Tatars. They were suspected of participating in illegal armed formations. They seized mobile phones, notebook, and tablet. And in Voikova of Permomaisk region and the house of Tatar people, they searched for drugs, but they found nothing. Later, they searched the Saksk region village, and they seized some CD discs and symbols of Ukraine. And on the 14th of February, they searched Oktyabrsk, Krasnogvardeysk region. They searched for illegal information on Hizbut Tahrir, and also they searched in the houses of people who participated in Jehovah's Witnesses organization, and also they searched for the participation of the battalion named after Naman Chelebdikhaev, and also they searched 26 homes of Crimean Tatar people, and they searched for participants of illegal for Russia organization Hizbut Tahrir. And this report differs from other reports because during this period There were massive searches in one day. They held searches on 26 houses, and they were cynic and cruel. They entered forcefully into the houses. They broke doors, windows. Also, during these searches, the FSB officers also provided some illegal literature. Before, they didn't do this. And also, it was recorded that among the people who come to support their neighbors and friends and their relatives, some FSB officers, they tried to motivate some clashes, and 2 people were detained because of provocations during these events. And also one more aspect I would like to mention. We can compare these massive actions, such as raids in the markets that were held in 2016 and 2017. We can compare these events with massive detention during Friday's prayer 2017 in Simferopol, and we can compare the situation with the raids and searches that were carried out 1 year ago in April concerning entrepreneurs, Crimean entrepreneurs, and they committed these searches in the houses of entrepreneurs and in enterprises. And the difference between these raids, massive raids here, we see massive searches in 3 regions in the places of compact living of Crimean Tatar people, in living premises, in the houses of people who suffered from these searches. The next category, detentions. During first quarter 2019 in the occupied Crimea, 52 cases were recorded of detentions. So this is blue column, and the detention of Crimean Tatar out of this number is 41. In January, Adam Kadyrov was detained because he was suspected that he participated in battalion named after Naman Chelebedzhina. And then in January, they detained Maxim Zakurenko. And investigators said that he also splashed the monument for so-called polite people in the center of the city. Also, there were 5 more detentions after searches in the houses of Crimean Tatars. In March, they recorded the record number, 40 detentions, and there were illegal actions against Archbishop Clement, ex-president Yuri Meshkov, among of Crimean Cossacks, pro-Russian bloggers, journalists, Crimeans who were suspected in participation in the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Hizbut Tahrir. And also there were in March, they recorded detentions in the administrative border with occupied Crimea. So these detentions are connected with searches. These detentions are connected with participation of people directly during searches in order to support or record those searches that are carried out by the occupation authority. And also, we would like to pay attention to the fact that these detentions were carried out also against those people who displayed their pro-Russian position some time ago. The example is Meshkov and pro-Russian bloggers. And also, I would like to mention the persecution of Archbishop Clement, because due to some reasons, they tried to detain him, that he said some bad words on someone, But at the same time, I think that due to active work of our defenders, our lawyers, Bishop Clement was not arrested. The next category is the interrogations, surveys, and talks. Because surveys and talks are not included in interrogations, but people are placed in facilities and FSB offices or the officers of the security committee. They speak with people. They and during the period, 61 detentions were committed, 39 concerning Crimean Tatar people. In January, there were interrogations of Crimean Tatar people, those who participated in a battalion of Naman Chulidjbijan, allegedly, and also the person who watered the monument to the polite people. And also there were illegal interrogations and talks with the Ukrainian military sailors, and also there were searches against Crimean Tatar people and Ukrainians, and some people were detained at the administrative border, and also there were actions against Archbishop of Simferopol and Crimea Clement, ex-president of Crimea Yuri Mishko, Ataman of Crimean Cossacks, pro-Russian bloggers, journalists, Crimeans, and also suspected in participation in Chekova witnesses and Hizbut Tahrir. Also illegally detained were people at the administrative border with Crimea and detained after searches, Crimean Tatar. The next slide, I give the floor to my colleague, Elvir. After these three categories, arrests follow. According to our data, there were 97 cases of arrests and 67 concerning Crimean Tatars. Here we should mention that out of 97 cases, 39 are new arrests and 58 cases the continuation of arrests. So during this period, they provided sentences to 4 people in the case of Taglibi Jamaat, and Elvir Sagirman was sentenced to 10.5 years for alleged participation in illegal armed formation. Also, they provided a sentence for Dmitry Dolgopolov for 10 years and Anna Sukhanosova 9 years for alleged provision of state secret. And also there are administrative arrests. Ex-president of Crimea Yuri Mishkov was arrested for 2 days because he allegedly didn't meet the requests of the police requirements. And also Evgeny Gaivoronsky was sentenced to 12 days for use of drugs, and also Eskender Mamutov, Crimean Tatar activist, sentenced to 5 days for hooliganism. So what people were arrested during these 3 months? Adem Kadyrov was arrested. He is suspected of participation in battalion named after Naman Chelebidjin Khan. Maxim Sakurenko, who splashed the monument to polite people in Simferopol, head of the board and the member of Mejlis of Crimean Tatar people, Eskender Bariev, and Eskender will provide more information about this case later. And also Krasnogvardey's case of Hizbut Tahrir, Eskender Abdulganiyev, Rustem Emir Ruseinov, and Arsen Abkhairov, suspected in participation in organization Hizbut Tahrir, and also 23 activists were arrested in March, and I won't mention all of them. And here on the screen you see their names. concerning the continuation of the custody, Ukrainian Marines, their custody is continued, and also and second case of Sevastopol, case of Tahrir, and the case of entrepreneurs and political, and also Dem Bakirov, Nariman Mimademinov, and Maxim Sakurenko, their custody was continued. The category of arrests is closely related to the violation of the right for fair trial. We see how occupation courts bring illegal verdicts and continue custody and reject petitions of the defenders and violate international standards. So the right for fair trial was violated concerning those people we've mentioned. They were arrested, interrogated, and all the right for fair trial was violated in these cases, and because of so repressive actions, more than 100 people are illegally detained now. More than 170 people are without breadwinners and their families. So those actions break more and more lives of law-abiding citizens. So a violation of right for the highest attainable level of physical and psychological health. Those 100 people that are detained, they are even tortured when they are in the FSB facilities or in the pre-trial detention facilities. There is no proper medical assistance, and their health deteriorates. And we revealed 32 cases of violation of this right, including 16 concerning Crimean Tatar people. These violations were recorded in Vijay case, and the Ukrainians such as Vladimir Dudka, Andrei Zakhte, Evgeny Panov, concerning journalist Nariman Mehmedinov, and also Hebrew Tahrir case, participant in Versitas Manova and Ukrainian Marines, and Alexander Stashenko, Gennady Nemeshko, Dem Bakirov, and he is the disabled person first group, and he is illegally detained, and his health deteriorates daily. The defenders and the number of international leaders and the international organizations, they call on the authority to release these people, but they remain in detention and their health continues to deteriorate. And also there are political prisoners, and they went through illegal psychiatric examination, and this is a violation. Also, illegal visiting of Crimea. The number of cases when this right was violated is 60, and the Ministry on Occupied Territories in the first quarter recorded 60 entering of vessels that are illegal, and including one from Togo Republic. And during this period, recorded where the ships of Russian Federation, Moldova, Malta, Togo, Palau, Panama, Sudan, Turkey, Tanzania, also Comoro Island and Pitcairn Island. This is the violation of international law and Ukrainian law, and seaports placed in the territory of annexed Crimea, Ipateria, Kerch, Sevastopol, Fedosia, and Yalta. They are closed in accordance with the provision of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine as of 30th of April 2014. and this is concerning the functioning of maritime and river transport, and in accordance with the order of the Ministry of Infrastructure of Ukraine as of 16th of July 2014, and also about escorting of the prisoners. The number of these prisoners that were transferred is 32. Out of them, 29 were Crimean Tatars. In this period, they escorted Ukrainian activist Vladimir Baluch, left activist Evgeny Karakashev, and also participants of Hizbut Tahrir, Esmir Hussein Koku, Vadim Siruk, Muslim Aliyev, and Ver Bikerev, Arsen Djeparov, and Rivat Alimov, and also Tafir Abuluzgayev, Zed Abdullayev, Aladlian Abdul Kadyrov, Medjid Abdurrahmanov, Bilal Adilov, Enver Ametov, Aman Arif Memtov, Farhod Bazarov, Akim Bekirov, Rezmi Bekirov, Servet Gaziev, Jamil Gafarov, Reza Zetov, Alim Karimov, Zgiran Murtaza, Yagdar Moedinov, Erfan Asmanov, Setveli Seyit Abidiev, Rustem Seyit Khalilov, Ruslan Suleimanov, Shaban Umerov, Rustem Shekhlaev, and others. And this violates international conventions and the Warsaw Convention. And on the 18th of January at 11 in Dubki village, Simferopol region, some police came and OMON came, and they tried to replace Imam. They asked Imam to go out from church, and they spoke with him and they asked him about his legitimacy to deliver prayer in the temple, but he stayed in his place. And on the 17th of March, in Sarisu city, Belgorodsk, so there were some interrogations, and there was an attempt to prevent the event concerning commemorating the victim of the New Zealand of the terror act in New Zealand. Also, there was a letter from the Ministry of Land and Property Relations sent to the Ukrainian unit of and also there was a case of alleged illegal building of the temple in Yevpatoria, and also they wanted to the occupants, without any decisions, they started to build a housing complex for FSB officers, and also they started the geodetic works for building the church of the church. Because of the activity of occupation authority, the ecology of peninsula deteriorates and is ruining. And this topic is not highlighted properly, but we found such cases, and our activists on the peninsula found out that Salgir River, that is the longest river in the peninsula, it now is shallow and turns into swamp, and year after year it is the quality of water deteriorates, and waste accumulates there, and the river cannot function properly. and occupation authorities made promises to provide capital repairs, but the situation is really bad at the moment. Also, Kerch FM site provides information that in Kerch they extract sand in Nizhny Churbashinske reservoir, and ecologists say that there are chemical substances that accumulates in big quantities, and they are dangerous for humans. They provoke different diseases, and despite opinion of the ecologists, the occupation authorities continue to extract the sand. And also on the coastline of Saksk region, they started to build a pavilion for growing seafood, and the residents, they carried out strikes, and now they stopped to build this farm, but we do not know whether they stopped it or they just delayed the construction of this facility, and the pressure from the public really helped. That's why people should not be afraid. They should join protest actions if they do not like these actions. Next, violation of right to education. Maybe you know these cases. In the manuals of 10th grade in the occupied Crimea, in one of the sections, there were some comments that instigated hatred to Crimean Tatar people, and there were some comments concerning history of Crimean Tatar people, concerning 1943, 44, the collaboration with the Germans, and you can find these citations in the internet. And under the pressure, these manuals were seized, and those incorrect words will be taken out of these manuals due to the pressure from the public. People restored this justice. Also in the schools, and these are the words of journalist Shavket Ganiev. He mentioned that in one of Simferopol schools, a teacher asked parents of pupils to reject the study of Crimean Tatar language, and they asked, and in one of the Feodosia schools, they also asked to reject Tatar Crimean language, but in the resolution of UNO 2017, there was a call on Russian authorities to provide education not only in Russian but also in Crimean Tatar language, and other organizations also supported this idea. But we see that the situation does not change, and they do not provide opportunity to Crimean people to study using their own language and to study their own language. The next category. During this period, our experts revealed that in the occupied Crimea, the visits to the prisoners are declined, and the Ukrainian consul was not allowed to visit Alexander Kolchenko, who is now in the colony number 6 in Chelyabinsk Oblast, and also this was concerning Vladimir Tereshchenko. Visits were rejected, and he was not allowed to call, and the letters were not transferred to him from his relatives. And also in cases of his Tahrir case, Sirana Salieva and his wife, the visits were not allowed, and his Marlen and son of also their right was rejected. Eskender Abdul Ganiyev case, also the visits were rejected. Sirmin Mustafayev Also, Hizb ut-Tahrir case, also their right was violated. Also, violations of cultural rights. In the framework of this category, Crimean Tatar activist Edim Dudakov published the photo and video materials from so-called excavations near Big Han temple and cemetery and Han stable. The works are carried out by non-professional archaeologists. It is done by cheap labor and found artifacts just piled up, and the tender for archaeological works was won by Moscow firm who previously used cheap labor. According to Kerch FM site, in Patikapia excavation works, the columns were ruined, and on the 28th of January they were supported, but it didn't help. And then all these parts of the columns were brought out by the museum officials, and the ruins of Patikapia, they are the cultural heritage of Ukraine. According to the Ministry of Justice of Russia, Crimean Central Collegium of Lawyers, the ministry asked the Collegium of Advocates to exclude Mir Kurbedinov. The ministry said that Железнодорожный and Kiev regional courts brought this decision, and there was an administrative case against Kurbedinov, Article 20.3, Administrative Code of Russia, propaganda or public display of attributes and symbols of extremist organization and reposts in social media in 2013. We believe that these are the attempts to deprive the position of lawyer of Elvir Kurbedinov in order to continue repressive actions against him, but due to active support of his colleagues, Elvir Kurbedinov remained in the Collegium of Lawyers and continues his activity. The building of Mejlis of Crimean Tatar people in Simferopol that was seized by Russia after occupation is vandalized actively, and unknown people painted the facade of the building. Before there were flags of Crimean Tatar people and Ukrainian flags. Also, plaques are removed from this building. They were in Crimean Tatar and Ukrainian language. Ukrainian photographer Alina Smutko, she covered the repressions against Crimean Tatars. She was prohibited to come to Crimea for 10 years without the reason. They said that this is in accordance with the order of FSB. In March 24, Ukrainian war prisoners, they established that they should go on through psychological and psychiatric examination, and Andrei Zakhteyev was sent to the isolation cell, and we do not know the reasons why it was done. And also Hizb ut-Tahrir case participant Elvir Sagirman in a pre-trial detention facility in Rostov-on-Don was placed in special block. The reason is unknown. Ukrainian activist Larisa Kitayskaya, who in occupied Crimea, was blamed that she participated in extremism in social media. They didn't return 2 notebooks to her. And Crimean Tatar activist Marlen Mustafayev said that he is followed during the last 3 days. The next category. Illegal warrant. So this is my category. Russian occupation authority put me on the wanted list, international wanted list, as the head of Crimean Tatar Center, Crimean Tatar Resource Center, and we found out about it due to our colleagues from Human Rights Defenders Group And there was a decision of the Supreme Court as of 29th of January 2019 that rejected the appeal from the lawyer whom I didn't hire. He was hired by the occupation authority. We tried to contact with this lawyer. She contacted us, and she was surprised that she takes this case, and she didn't provide any documents to us. And the preliminary decision was taken by Kiev Regional Court of Simferopol City. I was condemned due to the Article 280.1 that I call on to that I tried to call on to to violate territorial integrity of Russian Federation, and I used for this the mass media for this. Because of my activity at different platforms, OSCE, UNO, and other platforms, I tell them about violations committed by occupation authorities and Russian authorities. They sent an application and they put me on a wanted list. They sent to this information to Interpol, and the Ukrainian side, the Department of International Cooperation, provides information that in response, due to the response of our department, Ukrainian department, and due to provision of information that I am persecuted by the occupation authority and Russian Federation due to political reasons exclusively, I was taken out from this list. According to the decision of the 25th session of Interpol. So if we speak about Interpol, I would like to say that I'm not on the list of wanted. At the same time, there are different agreements in the framework of the former Soviet countries union. We understand that everything will be so we do not know about the consequences. That's why we work closely with Foreign Ministry and with the Department of International Police Cooperation in order not to allow the decision, illegal decision of occupation courts concerning my in absentia arrest for 2 months. Next category. So new accusations against Hizbut Tahrir. So the persecution of Crimean Tatars and Ukrainian activists due to religious reasons, it intensifies. People who are in custody, they are given new accusations. Marlena Sanov, Sernan Salid, Mura Grami, Metabulal, Ernest Matov, Servera Zakriaev, Servera Mustafaev, and Edem Smailov. So now new case is started, Article 278. This is the forceful seizure of power. And this is nonsense. Before arrest, these people were businessmen, they worked on construction, and they are accused that they wanted to seize power. They are in custody now. And also two people, Timur Ibragimov and Mehmet Belalov, they enforced the accusations. So this article is 205.5. And this is a terror activity, participation in activity of terrorist organization. Also, Server Mustafaev case, the propaganda of extremist ideology, and Also, FSB officer Dmitry Gramashov, who deals with the case of Siran Saliyev, he started a new case against him, according to the article 205.2 part 2 for also calling up to some terror activity in the on the social media. Also, illegal sentences for rejection to serve in the armed forces of Russian Federation. According to the data of the Human Rights Defenders Group, we know that 5 cases were open for the decline, for the rejection to participate in the armed forces. Also, there were 7 cases in February, and also 2 cases were brought to court in accordance with the article concerning the declining to serve in the armed forces of Russian Federation. This is Article 328. So people are fined up to 200,000 rubles. And they should pay a fine, but they should still serve according to Russian law. Also, illegal military exercises, they are carried out regularly. Also, militarization of peninsula is going on. Also, there is military propaganda, different actions. They also involve children in these actions, and a number of international organizations, they condemn these actions, and NATO in its declaration condemned this build-up of military capabilities of Russia on the peninsula and the plans of Russia to continue this military build-up in the Black Sea region. And also what I've said about different actions and propaganda of military service, I would like to say that all these actions are violations of international law, and including 4 Geneva Convention. It says that occupying country cannot force the people to serve in the armed forces of this country, and it is prohibited to deliver propaganda for these people to join the army. And Russia should stop forcing people to serve in the armed forces of Russian Federation. They shouldn't force them. They should not provide propaganda. Ending our presentation, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that Russian Federation during these 5 years continues and even increases its aggressive actions concerning Crimean Tatar people and Ukrainian activists in order to squeeze them out, to threaten them, to intimidate them. And in this way, they try to turn Crimea into a military base. And they want to squeeze out all those who disagree, those people who disagree with the legal actions of Russian Federation. That's why they try to get rid of these people. They threaten them, they carry out illegal searches, they condemn and they say that they're terrorists, and they accuse them of other crimes. In this way, they try to control Crimea. Now we are ready for your questions. Good afternoon, Victoria Vesova, RTR channel. I would like to ask you about information you've presented. Will it be used in international reports or in international courts? 27th of March, when the searches happened, after this, we didn't know about the fate of Idem Yayachev. There was information that he is in FSB facility, then his wife got information that he is not there. Do you have information about him, where he is? About your first question, whether this information will be used in international platforms. Yes, these slides will be translated into English, Russian, Turkish languages, and we send it to different diplomatic institutions, and also we collect the data for a year, and we present these figures in the reports, and we provided to the special rapporteur on indigenous people and the expert mechanism on indigenous people, and also we send this information to special rapporteurs. For example, when we speak about genocide or violation of cultural rights or violation of the right to good health. Concerning the second question, concerning Rechkov, we do not have information, unfortunately. Yes, we want to have this information to present it. We want to know where he is, whether he is arrested, detained, what is happening to him. And due to publicity, due to activity of different international organizations and authoritative politicians, I hope we will be able to bring attention of occupation authority to reveal where this person is, because now he is just missing. And if we are speaking about international level, for us it is really important. Except those data we spoke about, for us also it is important to get proper documents, evidence. This is the process for advocates and human rights defenders. We should have an evidence base in order to present this information in international courts, in the European Human Rights Court, and also in International Court Ukraine against Russian Federation. So we work in this area, and the data we collect, we add this data to our case. And as you know, at the beginning of June, there will be the meeting and the hearing in the case, and we collect materials for this case also. If you do not have more questions, we would like to thank our speakers and this briefing. We would like to thank the journalists, the experts, because it is really important to bring this information to Ukrainians, to bring it to the broader public outside Ukraine, because the response of the public is really important. In this case, we may influence occupation authority in order to protect the rights of our citizens and to help them to avoid torture and other physical influence from the side of the occupants. Thank you.